Hi everybody, Ocean Ray here, or is who I'm making this video for. I'm Samuel Cook, and today I'm going to be showing you guys about waveforms in like sine waves and saw waves, and what I have here is a bunch of different types of waves, weirdness. So yeah, let's get started. So what I'm going to show you guys first is a bunch of different sounds that I've made for this track, but that's whatever. And basically what it looks like, what the waveform looks like up close. And then I'm going to show you guys just a normal sine wave, which should be shown on this thing called Wave Candy. So here it is. Okay, so those were the weird basses that I've created for this song. And now here is going to show up what a normal sine wave looks like at different octaves. Okay, so if you notice, in the higher waveforms, it's faster. The waveforms are faster. Basically, it oscillates faster. And then the lower waveforms, it's way slower. And you can barely even hear it. And the reason for that is because it's below like 20 hertz, and that's really hard to hear. So yeah, and you can see in the wave candy that it's getting slower and slower. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to, actually, I want to show you guys what it looks like in an EQ. Like this down here, this EQ is an EQ, but this one can show even more. So basically, you can see what hertz it's at. And this is what our teacher was talking about with octaves. This is all the same note, it's all a C, but it goes from a high C7 to all the way down to a C1. So, but it's all the same note, just at different octaves. Now for these more complex sounds, this one is probably my favorite. Now you may be wondering, is that even possible? It is, because if we look at the waveform, it's not a sine wave, it's not a saw wave, it's its own little waveform. It's really weird looking. But yeah, so basically that's what that is. This little weirdness is what the waveform looks like. So when you create different sounds and you put them together and you stretch them and you make them thinner, they do cool stuff like this. And for this one, I had stretched it out. Which I used a multiplicator. So when I move this, it makes it shorter, smaller, longer. When I make it shorter, it plays through the entire sound just very quickly. And hold on one second. Okay, there we go. And if I were to mess with like the pitch of a sound, you see you have this one, and then you have this one, which is an octave higher, but it's the same sound. And it's, if you notice, it's also the same length. Like it's playing through the whole thing. Like what our teacher said was, when you make the pitch higher, it makes the track smaller. but there's a way where you can, it's called time stretching. It makes the pitch the same. In this case, I actually raised it up, but it can make the pitch the same, but the track longer. So if I take like this one here, and I move over to here, so right now this is the length it is, about 4 bars. And if I go to the time stretching, and I put it to like speech mode, so it treats it as if it was a voice, and then I change the time of it, this all stays the same exact pitch, but it's super stretched out. So before we had this tiny small 4 bars, and now it's super long. Believe it or not, that's all the same pitch, even though it sounds super weird like that. So with the, actually I should also talk about harmonizing, which I think we're gonna go over eventually. But harmonizing is basically when you hit the same note, different octaves. So if I quickly make a thing, so I'll make like a saw wave. So saw wave, I'll show you guys what this looks like. Hold on. I'll put another wave shaper. Wave candy. There we go. So a saw wave looks like a bunch of triangles and is what is called a sawtooth. And that is why, well, maybe that's why it's called a saw wave. I'm not really sure. But if we play a saw wave with multiple notes of the same thing, sorry, that's kind of loud, but you get the low note, the middle note, and the high note, and they all play the same. And what's really cool is, for anyone who actually really knows what this is, in a plugin like Citrus, you can mess with the harmonics, and you can turn up which harmonics you want, and you can literally make this play like 3 notes at once, which is really cool. But I'm not too good with that, and I'll probably screw it up. But yeah, so that's that. Obviously, there's you can make an unlimited amount of type of waves, just like what I showed you guys in this one, how weird that one looked, and like go to this one, how different this one looks. But believe it or not, this is one wave, just all weird and such. So with harmonizing, it's like the higher notes are faster. Whoops. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, so the higher notes are faster, and the lower notes are slower. And if you play them together, it creates harmonic detuning if you play notes that aren't the same. But that's basically how you create a chord, and that's how you make a song. And another example of that, which I can show you guys really quick. Okay, so in this sound, it's a combination of detuned saws, and by detune I mean the pitches of the saws aren't exactly like this note isn't a perfect C, and so because it's up and it's a combination of 3 of them. So this one, the first one is up like 0.1, second one's down 0.1, and third one's like right at a perfect C, which creates basically its own chord in itself. So technically that's 3 notes put together, and because I turn up the unison, if you can see right here that number moving, I turned it to 4, so technically that is 4 times 3, which is 12. So that's 12 technically notes playing at the same time, which is really cool. So if I were to play this in a chord, that's a lot of notes playing at the same time. but that's basically, if you can see the shape in the bottom, that's not just like a normal sine wave or saw wave or anything like that. It creates its own wave, which is really cool. So basically what I should have shown you guys before is what time stretching looks like on a voice. So I have this sample here.
Oh, are you here to move?
And you can see the sine. Normally when someone sings, it kind of almost looks like a sine wave. Depends on how your voice is. If you have a really deep voice, it can get scratchy, and that'll create like a kind of triangular or sawtooth looking wave. But so when I stretch this, so I put it to speech, and when I stretch it, you know, that's what happens.
Oh,
But basically what you can do is, if I change the key of this, or not the key, but the BPM, I can auto detect it, and it's gonna pick how fast it should play.
Oh, are you here to move?
But notice I made it faster, and it's still the same pitch. So I can make it even faster, like it is, and do that.
Oh, are you here to move?
I just made it slower. Sorry, wasn't thinking. But yeah, you can pretty much do all that stuff. Make it as fast or as slow as you want.
Oh, are you here to move?
To match whatever tempo. But notice, you know, it's keeping the same pitch. Now, how it does that, I don't really know. Besides the fact that I think it's, I don't really know how to explain it, because you know that when you make the waveforms longer, it can make it lower pitch, but this isn't any lower pitch, yet they're longer.
Oh, are you here to move?
I still haven't figured that out yet. It's really interesting though. I think it's pretty cool. And another cool thing is, if I put this back to its normal time or whatever, so
oh, are you here to move?
Back to its original time, I can still change the pitch and keep it at the same time.
Oh, are you here to move?
Oh, are you here to move?
So that's going up and down an octave, but it's still at the same pitch. Or not the same pitch, but it's still at the same time. Same amount of time, but different pitch. So what does this? I don't really know, and it's really cool, really interesting, and I kind of wanted to figure that out. But I hope this was cool for you guys to at least see. If you're wondering whatever people make music on looks like, this is what it looks like. A bunch of mess. Well, at least for me, it's a bunch of mess, but it still sounds cool. So that's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. And bye.